Look, I too am delighted to get a couple of focal or couple no made kind free and strategy Gaelic. I'm proud to come from an area in Costa New and Ashura, Tipperdown has Nadesha and Parosta Cana. And my grandmother, in actual fact, didn't have any English. It was a black Gaelic area, Costa New was, up to 1957. I happened to be born in '58, for the record, but I didn't have the privilege of knowing my grandmother. And that was the spirit in the foothills of the Knockmail Downs, and indeed the Cumras. And it was an out-hauling, and it's still an out-hauling our fod, and for people to come and visit and see. And a lot of activities are carried out there. Trí Gaeilge, agus Ruddy Machine. And I want to salute Helen McGrath and Catherine McCara and Cooper Dinale agus May Fain. Tos no made Nînmar, I suppose, Fihablino now in ish. Nînmar Costa New and Ashura, and it's a wonderful success. And it's wonderful to see the adulty preschool, PLD out of the cot. And they're going into that school, and it's cared for, after school and before school, and indeed the bigger children, the adulty freshen, national time, Theresa Nînmar. And the way that they can pick up the Irish, the grasp that they have for it, but the fun-loving way that the Montori and the Nînmar Shin are running that, and the love that they have for the language, above all for the children, but for the language and for the whole heritage and the dukas, and it is tremendous. And I know there are many Nînmars throughout the country, and it's a great way of re-energising our national, our tongue and Nashunta. Very important. So, I mean, we can have all the strategies in the world, but if we don't use it or lose it, and we have to adopt some kind of a strategy of use it or lose it, I think. Tos no mid Oireachtas Saura, Costa Nua, Fihablin, also, freshen. And that went very well for about 12 years. It was the medium of Irish again, through fun. You weren't going to be sent home from the Gaeltacht, and there was many counts of Nadalty sent home from Dalty Moor, Dalty Donna, maybe from the Gaeltacht that we knew of in different parts of the country, Corky Gwyn and Ardnamshin. So we did this through the fun, and it was very successful. And I want to salute the late Dáil Éireann, who was a founder member, Vimy Freshen, and Thomas Latfra, George de Barra, de Montori, Agus Freshen, Catherine McCara, and Dini Machine, and Oberstar Ula Yenishid. And it was very successful. Honig Dalty o Tipperdown, August Port Lauriga, a long Artana, August Quidown on Ballyartley or Artna Machine, because when we had the break Gaeltacht up to the 57, it was an industry as well, and it supplemented the incomes of the ordinary people who were took in the Dalty, took in the students, and there are also Morocco, I want to salute him as well, also of Coty Cotazain, agus a ban Kela. Stuart Laroche on late show, Iha One, got found him she a Gaeilge in Costa Nua. And he always says that he's proud he landed in Costa Nua. And it's more and truer, not Rev and Gaeilge go through and show an ish. But Tower con trust new reach. And I want to salute the people then in those houses, the families that took in the students. I remember meeting him some of them in later years, and the fond memories they had, that they stayed kind of in not being lodgings, digs, and they got a fine dinner, a country dinner. Often went out and gave a hand picking the spuds this time of year, and with the farmers, and they got a feeling for the culture, our dukas, our heritage, and our cliha freshen, the Pell agus Samani out, and above all our dukas. And they loved that, and that friendship was held up with those people, and their thought she didn't stop in there, agus the long out and foot them down. So, I mean, that relationship is still there, or that connectivity. Now, we have a community policing unit in Costa Nua, in Carter and East Kinish, Care Garda Station, under the guidance of Sergeant Ray Maloney and Superintendent Dennis Whelan, and the team there. And not only are they involved in the community and doing a wonderful job this time of difficulties with COVID, and visiting the people, and they're re-energising again in this new kind of a stage 3 and ready for what else ever might come. But Ray, and Sergeant Ray Muldowney, he's Thursday, Cora Costina in Care House Hotel, to goes down Cartoon Eastkick, got Dáil Éireann. And there are a number of people there, Gavin Berry and Montour. A lot of people are coming in. And again, they're finding it, you know, an slia cart cunea foulam. It's a nice, soft, simple way of learning and picking up the Irish and transgressing it with English, and indeed linking it to the the place names. They're very important. They're oozing with our culture. They're oozing with our heritage. All them old place names, and you know, and Tahar Christa O'Ryan, Father Christy Ryan from Cashel, gave me a valuable, you know, masterpiece. Was the name of all old Chanukala and Oscailiga, August Osbelia, and it was a wonderful historic reservoir. And I must learn a lot much more of it. But I want to thank Father Christy and wish him well in his retirement from Cashel as well. Christy O'Dwyer, Christy O'Dwyer, a renowned hurler for Tipperary in Faro. So look, Sergeant Ray and Maloney and the team there, and indeed my own Ian, Mattie McGrath, Corlor, they get a lot of fun out of this engagement every Monday night, and they look forward to going back as soon as this cloud that's over our communities is gone. So I think that's the way to do it. Was more of the strategy in that area. Ninat the Corladina, Tosto, you know, it's Nadini Oga, it's Ninra. And then people might realise it, but the Montours in the national schools have a huge role to play. And then we had some famous Montori for the Blinta, and you know, many people learned it from them. But when I was going to school, maybe we may buckle down a goni, but near follow me more on Gaelic, and it's more on true a shin. So we must have a, you know, I often said, and I think someone mentioned it earlier, I think this is a Deputy Shanahan, that if it was banned, if the Irish was banned, we'd all be speaking it. We're a wonderful country to, you know, resist rules and regulations, and I've said that often myself, that if it was banned, we'd all be learning, but we must pay more attention to it. And this strategy, while I welcome it, there's a lot of gaps in it. Minister, we have First na Gaeilge, we have Rodas na Gaeilge, we have Cunra na Gaeilge, we have Cotas Dáil Éireann, which is a wonderful organisation. Song and dance and around Oireachtas and Shanukal and Shanos, Rinka, August, you know, all those wonderful parts of our heritage and culture, and the languages. Often the sessions are completely true Irish and they're wonderful. August Lorna Gael Fashion. And we were involved in our own parish in Lorna Gael competitions, and did have some success when we had the Colasta Koshura show. So, Tasula Gum making Colasta Koshura on a reach and a Blaine Chacon, the Kun Tosnewa a reach. And to try and have that, because many people can't afford either to have the real full-on Gaeltacht, you know, the month or the tree Shopton. It costs a lot of money. And this one was simple. We had buses collecting them, you know, from a 30-mile radius or beyond, and they came for the day and went home full of fun. And to see them in the buses picking up their tin whistles and singing and the shadows, and indeed, you know, I can't say they were a rink in the bus, but some of them were trying to, I suppose. But it was a wonderful way of doing it, through the fun. So we have all these organisations doing their hard work as well, but we need a more of a mehel feeling about it. We need a more of a sense of, you know, not top bodies up from the Shielta onto Talav Seus, you know, plant the seeds and it will grow. And indeed the GA clubs, and of course I knew a GA club helped us out too, because we used those facilities as well. And we used indeed the community hall, Winter Theatre Hall, and I salute those as well, and they all got an income from it. So it was very good model to have a summer college, you know, Saurug, and you know, people made a few pounds out of it as well. I'm not saying that was the motive, it wasn't, but it was a spin-off. And the concerts, and the Afro and Tevamo for Inspire. We used to have the mass out in the open and the final night, and there was Buckley and Colostra, there was Colleen and Colostra, and there was fierce passion and energy and enthusiasm and competition on Plock, and I had the privileges a number of times of presenting the Buckley and Colostra, August and Colleen and Colostra, and there was a lot of interest in the same. So, and Nadine Yoga, they made friends, and they're still friends today. Through us back to our secondary schools, the main age group was from 13, Benedish, to up to leave it up to 6th class. Sorry, no more scale. Up Blinadish, go the 3-day Blinadish, and then they went on to secondary school. They made friends there, and they went on to universities, and they're still friends. And some of them are in dancing classes. Some of them have gone to the World Championships. I'm not saying they learned it all. They had wonderful dancing teachers like Mattie McGrath, Monty Hallinan, and different places around the country in Tipperary, and they got skill, but they got the love and the taste of it in the Corá, in the Skull Sour. They got the taste for it there, and that's vital to have it, to like it. Because many times I've seen the Bata mower into the Skull, and the Irish was kind of beaten into you. But it was no achievement. It didn't achieve the desire they felt, and it never will. So it will be resisted. And I'd want to say, as I said, what Sergeant Ray Maloney does in CARE and the group, more groups like that. Because it's simple, it's soft, you're having your cup of tea, your cup of coffee. And indeed, I'd encourage, we had one or two of them for a while in Newcastle, well, Corá Cushtina in the people's houses. In the Gaira, especially in the winter months, lovely thing to do. This year, I don't know, can we do it? But we're too cold to be singing in the wind, or I can't tree a mock tree or an oak, but we can do our best. And I think it's vital that we look at the strategy and see. I note in the bill that 20% of the income entrance to civil service are expected to be proficient in Gaelic. Yes, it's an ideal, certainly, but that ideal has been there for a long time. But it doesn't happen. And I mean, I know that people complain about the huge costs of translating the whole Irish, the whole European diktats into Irish language. But we see, I was in a lovely hostelry in Bray last night, where I'm staying, and indeed I met a Chinese man, and he had better English than myself. And that's a fact. He's in Ireland 20 years, 18, 20 years, and it's amazing how we can learn when we have to learn it. He's proficient, hugely proficient in English, sorry, and I meet many people from different lands who pick up the Irish quite easy, and they say it's an easier language to learn, some people, than their own languages. But when we see now the multicultural cities that we have and country that we have, and we're all embracing, why not have the pride in our own Gaelic? Why not? A nation is not a nation without its language. Pierce said that, and it's not. What do we have? And I often know people when they go away and they go abroad and they get into trouble, and if they're being questioned in a police station or whatever, they use the Irish, and they're often there to make phone calls home in Irish, any chance of a couple of quid instant post. I know we have the cards now, we can transfer, but before we had the cards and the post, and they wouldn't be embarrassed and they could talk in their own language. It's amazing the ingenuity that we have to use it when it suits us. So I say use it or lose it. And that's the phrase I'd like to think that we should do with this strategy here. So, I mean, we'll talk about language rights, and the UN have recognised their rights, but the UN have recognised more rights, and what good is it? So the United Nations should take, and I met people outside the gate yesterday protesting about their country in Azerbaijan and what's going on. So they have enough to do without expecting them to support our Irish. But certainly it should be protected and preserved. We'll do it ourselves. Do it from the ground up, and as I said, there's nothing. And I'd like to mention the last, Táishid Goléir Boston-ish, but there were an Andina in Coshlan, they were a big kind Gaeilge, up to about maybe Deplino him. The likes of Mattie O'Leary, likes of Paddy O'Keefe and Sean O'Donegan and Mo Bohargs, Mo Ahar, a freshman. And as I said, it was interesting. It gives me great interest now in solace to know that it's amazing that people didn't have English as a language at all in my village in Coshlan and Shura, as I said, up till the late 50s. And it was a pity that we ever lost the Black Gaelic status. So, Minister, I'll be going to knocking on your door to see, can we look at that model at Beyond, Fado, and can we start that again? And we talk about clusters now, we talk about, having counties and boundaries. So maybe we should start small and try and support certainly a pilot programme in areas that have that residue. We're only fiche mila or Dungarvan, or fiche coig mila on Rhine, and we're all part of the data, and we're all proud of our history and the historic kings and Cashel. And we have a very rich cultural area. So, and we also have, we must do better with our signage and having it in more bilingual and more Irish, certainly. I'd like to thank the County Council in Newcastle and indeed in Tipperary, and indeed our present roads engineer, Paul, thank them for putting the lovely artistic signs they've gone up recently in in both languages, Gaelic or Gaelic. So as I said, we can learn a lot, and we can look at a lot, but we must try and engage the Nini Goni. So we have the right model, I think, Minister, with our NINRA, with the re-emergence of our Coláiste Cóisiúra, and like to have that through an easier way of doing it, and indeed to have the spirit and the interest of the whole community. Not the Corla Cale, bring the community with us, because you can't do anything really. They always say it takes a village to raise a child out in Africa, but it does take a community to regain and rekindle that spirit of our Shanmahara, and indeed, you know, people going back, that we can remember those proudly through the medium of Irish, and the heritage that they handed on to us to mind and keep. So I look forward to engaging with your Minister and working with you, and maybe you might pay us a visit to the Costa Nuna Shura law on.